time will be when we see our loved ones there, those who have gone before, eternal joys to share. And oh, what a song when the blood-washed throng starts singing a song the angels cannot sing. Oh, what a moment when we see Jesus, when we stand face to face in His embrace and thank Him for amazing grace. Oh, what a moment when we see Him. Harvest will then be past, we'll no longer gather. Only what's done for Christ is all that will matter. The seeds we have sown will then be made known. Then what joy shall fill our raptured souls that day. Oh, what a moment when we see Jesus, when we stand face to face in His embrace and thank Him for amazing grace. Oh, what a moment when we see Him. Oh, what a moment when we see Him.
All right, thank you, Nick. I think we passed out some notes to you, but we've been going through the book of Proverbs, and we've been talking about the foolish man the last couple weeks. We'll finish or look at that again tonight. We've mentioned the key verses in Proverbs. Chapter 1 and verse 7 is the first one. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but the fools despise wisdom and instruction. Wise men and foolish men are completely opposite of one another. Proverbs 4:7 said, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding. Why would we spend so much time looking at a foolish man? Because not that anybody in here would be necessarily foolish, but again, if we're not careful, maybe certain areas of our life, maybe certain decisions in our life, if we're not careful, we make foolish decisions in those areas. Could be a character quality. It could be some issue in our life. And so we need to make sure we understand what God says about the foolish man. I'll mention the first 8 we went through. We said the foolish man's tendencies are born into us and must be driven out with discipline. Okay? That beautiful little baby you hold is a fool. Sorry. They're still adorable. Number 2, the foolish man can be very dangerous and vicious if he is confronted with his foolishness. Remember, a fool is a person who ignores or defies God's principles. And by the way, a wise man can do that. If we get outside of a certain area or get in a certain area, in that area we might defy what God says. We know what He says, but we don't do it. Or we just simply we ignore it. We don't really think about it, and we plunge ahead based on our emotions or whatever, and we'll do something that is very hurtful in our lives or in the lives of our family members. Number 3, the foolish man, when seeking to change his own ways, will inevitably go back to them. The foolish man has no sense. It's a waste of time to try to make sense to them. Number 5, The foolish man talks himself into a lot of trouble and pain. Their lips. Number 6, the foolish man has nothing of any value or usefulness to share about the important issues of life. Number 7, the foolish man is a curse and source of problems to those who associate with him. And then the last one we looked at last time, the foolish man thinks that sin is something to joke about. Okay, now let's look at these new ones here. Number 9, the foolish man will conform only temporarily if he is punished enough. Proverbs 26, verse 3, a whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. What does a whip do to a horse? What does a bridle do for the ass, the donkey? It gets them to do what you want them to do, but it's kind of painful for them. Okay? You ever go, years ago, I haven't taken the kids in a long time. Most of them are grown up. But I took them to the circus. You ever been to the circus and you see they have the lions there? And remember watching them, and they brought in and they had this cage. Good thing they had a cage, okay? They didn't want those things getting loose. And they had, inside the cage, they had these 3 round circles. And so here's Mr. Lion Tamer Man, and I noticed he had a really long whip. And they bring the first lion in, and the lion's like, and the lion, by the way, is a lion, it's not a kitty cat. And the lion's snarling at him and making noises, and he comes in, and the guy takes the whip and says, Psh! The lion quieted down pretty quickly. And he got that lion, and after enough beating him, and he got him on the first little circle, then they bring the next lion in. As he's bringing the next lion in, he had to be careful because the other lion kept stepping down. Like, oh, you're not paying attention to me. I'm going to step down. And so he'd be bringing the other one in, and he'd turn and like, get back to your place. That'd be nice for, no, I won't do that. You know what I was going to say, and I'm not going to say it. But so he gets the second one on there. Now they got one there. They got one here. He brings the third one on, and he constantly had to snap at them to get them to stay on that circle. And it's like, oh, how nice. They tamed those lions. No, they didn't tame those lions. If you tame a lion, it's like, hey, Jose, come on in and go stand over there. And, oh, okay, I'll go stand over here because you told me to do it. No. It had nothing to do. It had everything to do with the whip. Okay, as long as, look, I guarantee you, if you took the whip away from that guy, he wouldn't be so tough, okay? He'd probably be lion food. But as long as the affliction was there, as long as that threat of pain was there, the lion conformed. They ought to call it conforming, not taming. That's how a fool is. A fool will only change because of the external pressures in their life. I take it back. I used the wrong word there. Conform. They'll conform because of the unpleasant external stimulus in their life, usually negative. But as long as that pressure's taken off, what happens? They go right back to being what they are, which is a fool. That's what it's saying here. They're motivated when they're temporarily punished or feeling the pressure and pain of their ways. But it's only temporary. It's like the story I heard of a man, and he bought a donkey from this guy. He needed to do some field plowing, and he bought a donkey from this old farmer, and he says, will this donkey do the job? He goes, oh yeah, he'll do exactly what you want him to do. He goes, okay, I'll buy him. So he brings him home, and he brings him out to the field, and all right, donkey, that thing didn't move. No matter what he did, that thing wouldn't move. So he goes to the man and says, hey, you sold me a defect. He doesn't work. He goes, no, I can get him to work. So comes over to his house, and the guy that formerly owned him came over and said, hey, man, come on, let's do this. And the donkey just sits there and looks at him. So the former owner walks over and picks up a 2x4. He hits the donkey as hard as he can upside the head. He says, come on, let's move. The donkey starts moving. And then he looked at him and said, you just needed to motivate him, that's all. Okay? That's how a fool is. And by the way, you look, some of you students in our Christian school, you barely keep the rules, or you keep the rules. But you can't wait till you get out of school. Look, if you're only doing the things that you're supposed to be doing because there's rules in the school, you're a fool. Oh, I'll take it. That was harsh, wasn't it? You're acting foolish. Okay? Those rules, look, some of those rules are there to keep you in line. But if I'm just going to keep it in line because I don't want to get kicked out of school and I've already been here for so many years, I want to graduate. Listen, if you don't want to keep the rules, go somewhere else. Okay, that didn't go over very well. Because those rules are nothing but a 2x4. Now, not all the rules. I mean, some of the rules are just, they're books you got to read, stuff like that. Okay, don't worry about that. I'm talking about morality and righteousness and doing the right thing. Okay, if it takes a rule book to keep you in line as a Christian, there's something wrong. Okay, that'd be like a staff member. Well, I only go soul winning because, and we don't have that, but I only go soul winning because I have to go soul winning. Then that's the wrong reason. We ought to go because it's what God wants us to do, not because there's going to be a punishment associated with it. Fools only seek help when the pressure is on. By the way, it happens all the time because we have that key word on the outside of our building, church. People will have a problem in their life. There's a crisis. Some of them, they'll come to church and, well, I was here because I have this problem going on. I'm trying to get help for the problem. Now, we need to understand when they come like that, what's the question? The question is, are you coming to change so we can permanently get rid of the problem, or are you only coming to try to get rid of the consequences of your action? Because if all we do is help you with the consequences of your action, we haven't dug out the root, and you're going to go out and you're going to do the same thing. The consequence may be different, but the consequence is a result of the action. Do we really want to change? Or do we only try to conform when things don't go our way? The man, he was laying mortally wounded on a battlefield. And the chaplain ran up to him, and he was going to die. And chaplain said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And the guy looked at him and said, "At this point, I don't need somebody that can do something for me. I need somebody that can undo some things for me." That's how most people are. We wait till it's too late. Don't be like a foolish man. By the way, you ever heard of proactive? Like you change the oil in your car. What is changing oil in your car for? So the engine doesn't wear out. You're trying to be proactive and get as much use out of it as possible. We ought to be proactive in our life. If we're like the wise man, what we're doing is we're foreseeing some issues that could happen because of our disobedience, and we're avoiding those by being obedient to what God tells us. But a fool is not like that. They only want relief from the pain of their actions. They don't want lasting change in their life. And to be honest with you, at this point, I don't want to just help people get rid of the consequences of their action. Okay? I have drama in my life. I want you to help me with the drama. The only way to get rid of the drama is to get rid of the action that caused the drama. And if you're not interested in that, there's not a lot you can do. Life change, not conforming. Number 10. The foolish man thinks doing wrong, or sin, whatever you want to put, doing wrong is enjoyable and is no big deal. It's not a big deal to them. And we kind of looked at this with number 8 the last time. Proverbs 10:23 says, "It is as a sport to a man to do mischief, but a man of understanding hath wisdom." A fool thinks that doing sin, it's not a big deal. In fact, they don't understand why we seek to live right. By the way, if anything describes our society today, that's it right there. It's, what does the Bible say? Those that call wrong right, right wrong, good evil, evil good. Didn't used to be like that. Used to be back in the day, and I'm not lamenting about the past of our country. We can't do that. But when before the Bible was kicked out of school, even people that did wrong knew it was wrong. But see what we've done now? Because we've tried to lift God out of our society and get rid of him, now we've flip-flopped it to where wrong is right and right is wrong. When someone does something, it's like, well, after all, aren't they supposed to? That's just what kids do. No, you didn't read that in the Bible. Well, aren't kids supposed to just naturally rebel when they become teenagers? No. That's not what the Bible says. That's what society says. But we call wrong right and right wrong. You're a Christian where you work and people know it, they'll say things. If you're doing it the right way. Oh yeah, choir boy. Or this or that. Why? They don't understand why we would not do those actions. Because they've been taught that there is no right or wrong. You just do what you want to do. And after all, you say it's wrong, but it's what I want to do. It makes me feel better about myself for a while, but not always. Sin is sin. They don't think seriously about sin. Now, the wise man, by contrast, would. He would say that and say, you know what? I don't care if it's something that my flesh appeals to. And by the way, sin does appeal to our flesh. Okay, it will. That's a battle we have to face. But just because it appeals to our flesh doesn't mean we need to say, it's wrong. By the way, it is okay to say some things are wrong. Society, we're being judgmental. Now, I could understand if the world says that. You know what the sad thing is? Christians say that now. Well, judge not. Well, you're right. I don't need to judge. The Bible already has. God's word has already judged it. I'm just telling you what God said. We're just saying, hey, this is what the Bible says. If you want to take that as judging, God judged you, not me. But we just don't want to hear it. That's why Satan always gets us focused on the temporary, positive aspects of sin. I mean, look at it. It's not that bad. I mean, I know you've heard it's wrong, but come on. It's like in James where it talks about being lured into sin, enticed. Okay? It's the words they're using there is like a trap. What happens when you're trapped? You see the bait and you miss the hook. Oh, you go fishing. When we go for trout, and you use the rainbow stuff. It's a power bait. Thank you, Brother Jim. I don't like the word rainbow on it, but not that rainbow's a bad word, but it's kind of been whatever. I could say something there, but I won't. But rainbow bait. Now we went last time and we were looking for trout, and we had the garlic rainbow power bait. I guess we were looking for the Italian trout, and man, it worked. We went to there, and the guy goes, we're a little stream, and the guy goes, you need to go 2 blocks down. They just stocked it. Sure enough, when we went down there, as soon as you threw it in, man, they were popping. They like that stuff. Now, what those dumb fish didn't understand is it's bright. It's rainbow because it's really bright colored. If you don't know, it has glitter in it. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it is for gay fish. I'm not sure. Rainbow colored, little whatever. I just want to catch them. You know what I'm saying? Catch them and kill them. That's what that does for them. But it's like they see that beautiful color and I guess they smell the garlic and they're attracted to it. If they only knew that behind that, I was going to say beautiful, but I don't like rainbows anymore. That rainbow was this hook. And when they swallow the beautiful power bait, they swallowed a hook. You know what that means? Now, I don't eat fish, but I don't release them either. I know people that will eat them, okay? I'm not going to look, oh, nice little fish, I catch, we're catch and release. No, catch and fry. That's our program. So we catch it, and it's like frying pan. If that fish realized the power bait equaled a frying pan, he probably wouldn't go for it. See, fools are making a mock at sin, and they don't realize that sin is going to cause unpleasant circumstances and consequences in their life. Because all they see is the outward, alleged fun in it. And so we need to be careful. That happens to Christians. That's probably the thing that'll make you a fool faster than anything as a Christian. You see the temporary, alleged pleasure of what you're going to do, and you miss the long-term circumstances of your actions. It's taken down a far greater man than any man in this room tonight. We need to be careful. By the way, let me say this. Dabbling around in sin is not cool. And it's sad to say Christianity is just, I don't know what we're doing in our churches. Oh, you guys are just too laid back and blah, blah, blah. That's just nonsense. It's sin. It's wrong. And we're making it right. We cannot justify it. We need to make the right choice. Fools make a choice in the moment. Understand that. Christians should have convictions ahead of time. It's like Daniel. Daniel was brought to Babylon. He was offered a choice to violate God's laws, and he didn't because the Bible said that he purposed in his heart. You know when he purposed in his heart? Long before he was asked. If you have to wait until a temptation or an opportunity to do something wrong comes your way before you make a decision, you're done. You're done. Go back to the fish. If the fish understood that power bait equals frying pan, as soon as he saw that glowing yellow garlic-smelling garbage in the water, he'd say, I'm out of here. The consequences. Joseph knew that. He got in the house and she grabbed his coat and he said, it's yours. I'm out of here. No debate. No hey, I can't do this because blah, blah, blah. I'm gone. Take the coat. Have a good day. And he was, by the way, he was willing to face far greater consequences of a right action than the wrong action. He ended up in jail. Moses understood this. Look at the verse there in Hebrew. Moses, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God, could have stayed in Egypt, could have been an Egyptian, could have been there with the Pharaoh's family, than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. By the way, it's the pleasures of sin. You can't hide it. They're temporal. The pain far outweighs the pleasure. Think of Amnon when he raped his sister. Oh, I gotta have her. As soon as he had her, he's like, I hate her. This wasn't what I thought at all. Get out of here. Pleasures of sin. It's for a season. Then what happens when season is over? Pain, 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 and more pain. And Moses said no. Esteeming, verse 26, the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures of Egypt. See, that's how we'll make the right decision. When we understand that what God has to offer is far better than what that temporary pleasure that sin has to offer, it's a no-brainer. Wow, this is neat. How can it be that wrong? Well, what's happening way down the line here is way better. Oh, then I don't need to deal with that. That's temporal. I got the real treasures, the treasures of Christ. Number 11, the foolish man will always let you know how he feels. The foolish man will always let you know how he feels. Okay, we know a lot of people like that, so we better be careful on this one, all right? Proverbs 12:16, a fool's wrath is presently known. In other words, he don't hide it very well. It's out there. But a prudent man covereth shame. When a fool loses his temper, he doesn't care who knows it. He doesn't care who knows how he feels, because he's just keeping it real. That's just how I am. Okay? No, that you're a fool. You don't have any self-control. In contrast, a prudent or sensible person will control his anger and the urge to lose his temper. You don't always have to share how you're feeling. And people, we blame it on that's just how God wired me. What? Rude? Lack of self-control? Don't blame that on God. You're making that choice. It's funny. I just always tell people how I feel. Really? You really do that? So if you're walking, say, with your wife in the store, and some lady's walking by and you say, excuse me, ma'am, that outfit is hideous. No, we're not like that. But we just have our feelings. I don't care who knows how I feel. You should. Okay? Our emotions are not to control us. We are to control them. But a fool lets their emotions control them. So when they're making decisions based on their emotions, not what is right. Emotions are great, but emotions don't drive your life. Right, your will, what is right, what God says, that drives your life. And sometimes what is right is not how you feel, but you know it's right, so you bypass your feelings and you do what you're supposed to do. But a foolish man, they're just out of control. They're just always telling people, sharing their thoughts. Proverbs 27:3, a stone is heavy and the sand weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than them both. Stones are very heavy. Sand is very weighty. You get a little bit of it, man. The more it's just little grains. Those little grains add up pretty fast. But our fool's wrath is heavier than all of it. Your wrath places unneeded burden on others. On others. Okay? If everybody walks around on tiptoes when you're around, there's a problem. Everybody's like, oh, by the way, you ever have a boss like that? That's unfortunate. Well, how's Bill going to be today? Man, if Bill's in a bad mood, it's bad for everybody. Right? I hope you're not Bill. You're right. You got to have some self-control there. Remember what you learned earlier. Your words are of the utmost importance. Look at the verse. We looked at it earlier, but I want you to see it again. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. You say, well, I just get mad, and I just tell everybody how I feel. But later on, I'm sorry. The damage is done. It's like taking a knife and stabbing somebody and saying, you know what, I'm sorry. The pain is still there. The wound is still there. Oh, you can't see it. Okay? I mentioned, I don't know which one it was. I think it may have been Jeffrey Dahmer or one of these serial killers. His mother was, it was the guy that killed Kennedy. Oswald. It wasn't a magic bullet. Get away from the conspiracy people. Lee Harvey Oswald. His mom was just verbally abused him his whole life. Just mean. He could never do anything right. Just always getting on him. Look how he turned out. She could, I'm sorry, son. I was just mad today. I didn't mean that. That's not what they remember. Now, by the way, if you say something, you should get it right. But again, you know what the best course of action is? Look, sometimes you know what you need to do? I was going to say, go in the room and kick the cat, but I don't want to say that. Go to jail for that. I'll tell you what you do. You can go in the room and yell at the cat. Okay, because the cats will just meow. They don't even pay attention. But don't go in the, go eat a towel. Remember Jerry Tarkanian? He used to coach UNLV, great basketball coach. He'd sit on the sidelines with a towel and chew on it during the game. You say, man, what's that all about? I'm sure his players appreciated that better than getting chewed out. Okay? Probably the ref made a bad call and it's like, okay, if you have a hard time with that, chew a towel. Don't just show everybody. But a fool just always lets you know how they feel. They wear, you know what we say there? They wear their emotions on their shirt sleeve. Let's be careful. One more and we'll be done. Number 12. The foolish man doesn't even entertain the notion that what he does could be wrong. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes. And he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. Here's a fool. I'm right in my own eyes. And then by contrast, the wise man gets counsel because he's not always right. He's not always right. He checks it with people that are a little bit wiser than him in that area. But you know what, the fool? He doesn't need help. I know everything. Have you ever done something that you thought made sense and you only figure out later that it doesn't? How many ever done that? It's like, man, that was a bad idea. There's this book. I never bought one. I saw it at the bookstore one time. It was something about something about Darwin. And what it was stories of people that did stupid things and killed themselves. It was Darwinian because it's like survival of the fittest. These people probably shouldn't survive, so they're taking themselves out for everybody else. And true story, I read in there was a guy from Long Beach. He tried to rob a store. There was a little conflict there, and he tried to shoot the guy, and his gun stuck. So guess what this brain surgeon did? He looked inside the barrel, and he pulled the trigger. Guess what? It worked. No trial needed. People do stupid things. Say, man, I did that wasn't a very good idea. I probably shouldn't have done that. Well, whenever we do that, inevitably we're going to think back like, I probably should have asked somebody about that. But a fool will never get advice from anybody. By the way, getting advice or getting counsel is not weakness. Fact of the matter is, If you're struggling in an area and you don't know what to do, it's actually a sign of strength. See, strength is knowing where your weakness is and getting help in that area. That's strength. By the way, there's nobody that knows everything. Nobody that knows everything. If you like sport, you pick some coach out that you admire. I guarantee you he studied other people and still does to this day. Why? Because that's what wise people do. You don't know everything. I think I got some blanks under there. What is this verse saying about the fool's way? Let me give you these and we'll be done. First of all, his beliefs line up with his action. His beliefs line up with his actions. The way of the fool is right in his own eyes. Why does he act that way? Because he believes it's right in the first place, that he is right. So because he believes he's right, he acts that way. His beliefs line up with his actions. His way is aligned with his own eyes. The wise are the opposite. Their actions line up with their beliefs. Okay? I believe I'm always right, so I'm going to act on those beliefs. The wise man says, I don't know what's right. Let me find out what's right, and then I'll line up my actions with that. Next, his beliefs are based primarily on what he thinks, sees, and desires. That's his own eyes. If you base everything based on only what you can perceive, you're in big trouble. We're human. We miss a lot of stuff. We don't know a lot of things. The creator of the universe gave us a book that has all the principles we need. Here's a brilliant idea. Why don't we do what he says? If he knows more about life than we know, why are we going to base our life only on what we feel, only what we see and think is right, and we don't see everything? Because we're acting foolish in that way. It's what got Eve in trouble. Eve didn't need to look at the tree and say, that stuff looks pretty good. And to be wise, to be able to make my own decisions, that'd be pretty good. She should have never looked at it because God already told her what to do. He said, don't eat it. That's pretty simple. But once she started looking at it, she goes, that doesn't look too bad. Now what's making her decisions based on what she saw? Then how it was going to make her feel, not what God point blank said. That's what got Achan in trouble. Don't take anything. Burn the city. And the gold and the silver, it looks good. And after all, that Babylonian jacket, that looks pretty good. God said, don't take it. We get ourselves in trouble. Our eyes have a fatal flaw. They want what is wrong. 1 John 2:16, we talk about the world. For all that's in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes. We want what we see. And then the last thing about the fool's way is he doesn't go to others for help because he feels he doesn't need it. Feels he doesn't need it. I think I got this one figured out. Well, ask yourself this one question. Do you know everything? Someone has a little thing, they call it how to make an atheist backslide. And I won't go the whole thing, but he talks to a guy, I'm an atheist. He goes, okay, let me ask you a question. Do you know 100% of everything there is to know in the whole universe? They're going to say no. He goes, okay, now within that percentage of stuff you do not know within the whole universe, is there a small chance that maybe you're wrong? Because you don't know everything. And it gets them to thinking sometimes, like maybe he's right. You don't know everything. Now, teenagers, you do. You're the only ones in the room that do know everything. Okay, so use that knowledge while you can, because when you get a little older, you'll forget. Okay, you don't know everything. What am I saying? If you're going to make some kind of now look, if you're deciding what you're going to get for dinner, you don't need help. Just go for it. I saw a pizza and it's the lust of the eyes. No, pizza's good. Pizza's good. Just go. Yeah, you don't need any help with that. Okay. Oh, I saw seafood and I thought it's good. No, that's not good. I drove by a McDonald's. That's not good. Okay. Other than that, you don't need advice about where to eat. Have at it. Enjoy yourself. Take vitamins. But if you're making some kind of decision that could alter your life, you might want to ask somebody about it. Now, let me say this and I'm done. You know why we don't want to ask somebody about it? Because we don't want them to say something that would keep us from doing it. You know what that's called? A fool is right in his own eyes. You know, they might point out something that's like, I didn't see that. You're right. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Be open to what God wants. Don't think you have all the answers because, as I said many times, you don't even know all the questions. Okay? Let's get help. All right, let's pray.